So much happening. JD Vance is in Israel. He just spoke with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in front of the assembled. You, of course, had Speaker Johnson giving the, hey, it's day 21 of the shutdown speech, and also talking about the Epstein files, actually going on offense regarding Epstein, which I like seeing. And now we've got President Trump getting ready to host Senate Republicans for a White House lunch. I'm assuming it will be Big Macs and Diet Coke. I'm not actually sure. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. It's the Brick House Maduro right here. I started early. Let's begin the show. Royales with cheese for everybody. Well, okay. It's the president, so it definitely won't be a Royale with cheese. It'll be something. Doubtful McDonald's. Although that would be awesome. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. That's how you get to be a part of the show. President Trump hosting Senate Republicans for a White House lunch. Day 21 of the shutdown. Look at what the Democrats are doing. That's going to be the entire conversation piece. Day 21 of the shutdown. Look how craven Democrats are. Look how much they want power. Of course, Trump is going to talk about, hey, you see what I'm doing to the East Wing? Huh? What's he doing? He's tearing down pieces of it. He's tearing down pieces of it, and they're going to build a ballroom. And you would think that the left is truly upset about this. Allow me to be clear. They do not care at all about this. They just need something to be angry about. Look at the president. He's destroying the White House like he's destroying America. These people never stop. You would think that no one ever made a change to the White House before. Hey, who put the bowling alley in? Just asking. Yeah, the answer is Richard Nixon, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is, why in the world would anybody think it has to be the way it always was? The ballroom story, which I was going to get into later, is a fantastic analysis of what the left does. What is must always remain because it is what is. We say this about the institutions, right? USAID or anybody or any other institution. Does the institution exist to fulfill a promise or provide good for the American people? Does it exist for the usefulness of the American citizen? Or does it exist because it must exist? And you have seen time and again where the leftist believes that the institution should exist for the sake of the institution's existence, because it is through that institution that they're able to do so much for their ideological desires and wants. Is there any question USAID provided no value to the American people, but provided tremendous value to Democrats who want to ensure their pet projects got funding from the American people without them knowing what it was they were funding? There's no question here. We don't have to debate what we know to be true. That seems nutty. The White House can handle a change, guys. It's a change. The White House can handle this. You can handle taking down part of the East Wing and putting in a ballroom. By the way, I'm not even necessarily opposed to ballrooms. I could think of some other things that I would like as well. Walk-in humidor? Absolutely. Smoking the Brick House Maduro right now as I speak to you. Brick House, JC Newman. Nice, easy smoke, low-cost, high yield. You might have something else that you'd want to put in. Ballroom is fine. You want to be able to entertain. You want to be able to have larger scale events. Okay. And you know that when people say, oh, look at Trump, he's feeding his own ego. He didn't build this on one of his own properties with your money. It's the White House, which he'll be leaving in 3 years. Oh, and don't worry, someone's going to name it the Donald J. Trump White House. I mean, Donald J. Trump, that's funny. Donald J. Trump Ballroom. Someone's going to try and name it the Donald J. Trump White House. Oh, Oh, I've opened the bag. And then someone else is going to come in and say, no, we're going to name it this. It's going to be fought over. Some people have said that it should be the Charlie J. Kirk Ballroom. Whatever the name is now, it's going to get changed by whatever Democrat comes in. You know it. I know it. We know it. So we don't have to worry about that. But it's not about the name. It's about the idea that they are so absolutely opposed to the idea of some kind of change, because what they are opposed to as a Pavlovian response is if Trump favors it, we oppose it. If Trump came out and said, I favored oxygen, every leftist would look like Bane. They would just have no capacity to simply say, yeah, well, oxygen's good. He got that one right. Can't do it. Won't do it. Is this ballroom a big deal? It's not a big deal. Oh my gosh, $250 million. I agree. That's a lot of money for a ballroom, but it is the White House and there could be some security conversations. And if we want to talk about it being a waste of money, I don't believe it is. You know what a waste of money is? Taxpayer dollars going to Planned Parenthood. Massive waste of money and abuse of money. I don't care if Planned Parenthood goes belly up. It means absolutely nothing to me. Well, Tony, they provide health care for women all across America. They provide abortions. That's their business. That's what they do. And I never wanted to fund them. And I don't care if they get a single dollar. Actually, wait, I do care. They should not get a single dollar from the government. Putting money into a ballroom, better. I rank these things. That's the way I see it. You might see it differently. But being opposed to this, oh my gosh, he's destroying the White House. This is childlike. But one cannot at all think that their anger is legit. Their anger is never ending. They're always angry, right? They're always angry, and they're not as cool as the Hulk. Even when it's played by Mark Ruffalo, who's a terrible progressive. Keep it here. President is going to meet with Senate Republicans for lunch. I don't know what they're serving. That's on McDonald's? I'll take that action. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Jay Snaps Henson. The irony of somebody who runs out of breath ranting, talking about oxygen and leftist. Nobody wastes more oxygen than a conservative who's got their panties in a bunch. I don't know what that means, but allow me. If you're going to comment on this show, you have to do better than that. I don't have time for this trash. You got to be on it. You got to be ready to go. You got to be able to do the work. This is silly. This is boring. You can't bring boring here. Don't do that again. Smarter, quicker, brighter. Now, it's not true, Jennifer. I will answer the phone right now. Well, not me. Producer Landon will answer the phone. The problem is I can't bring the phone calls yet through to the live stream. I would have to have it generate from the studio. One of my other problems is that I have some audio I want to play for you, and I can't get that. Like here, let me see if you can. Tell me if you guys can hear this.
Gaza that's caught in the middle. But we're here at the Civilian Military Cooperation Center, which we are announcing.
Can you guys hear what I'm playing right now?
You have
JD Vance,
Israelis and Americans working hand in hand to try to begin the plan to rebuild Gaza, to implement a long-term peace.
Really?
And to actually ensure that you have security forces on the ground in Gaza, not composed of Americans,
Wendy says
who
yes.
can keep the peace over the long term. So we've got a lot of work left to do.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. I didn't think that could play. Oh, gosh, this is a much better day for me. Oh, happy day. By the way, I think my humidor is going to explode again. I don't even want to discuss it. Can't even begin to discuss it. So we're waiting on Trump and this lunch. It was supposed to start at 12, but what starts on time with Donald? I ask you. He used to be better at that. It has gotten worse over time with the president and getting things handled. Yes, audio, no video. That is accurate. That is accurate there, car guy. Oh, my goodness. Oh! So I got this as a gift a couple months ago. Do you know what this is? It is not what you know. It's a lighter. This is the SpaceX lighter. This is like a 1/1200th version of Starship. And it is very cool. And then this part, that's where you refill, twists off. So yeah. That's pretty groovy. Pretty groovy, except for the fingerprints. Right. By the way, Mark, you're never late. Just glad you're here, man. Smoking the Brick House Maduro. Great, easy smoke. Good time had by all. Let's get back to the show, shall we there, Producer Landon? Coming back right now, guys. Smoke them if you got them, boo-boo. That's what I say.
Gaza that's caught in the middle. But we're here at the Civilian Military Cooperation Center, which we are announcing the opening of. You have Israelis and Americans working hand in hand to try to begin the plan to rebuild Gaza, to implement a long-term peace, and to actually ensure that you have security forces on the ground in Gaza, not composed of Americans, who can keep the peace over the long term. So we've got a lot of work left to do. This is going to take a very, very long time. But I think Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Admiral Cooper behind me have done an incredible job. I want to say just a couple of quick things, and then I want to turn it over to Steve Witkoff. Number one, the Israeli government has been remarkably helpful in this. I want to thank them, thank our Israeli partners, and all the folks, particularly who are working hand in hand with their American friends here at the CMCC. And number two, I want to say that there is this weird attitude I've sensed in the American media and the Western media where there's almost this desire to root for failure, that every time something bad happens, that every time that there's an act of violence, there's this inclination to say, oh, this is the end of the ceasefire. This is the end of the peace plan. It's not the end. It is, in fact, exactly how this is going to have to happen when you have people who hate each other, who have been fighting against each other for a very long time. We are doing very well.
That is Vice President JD Vance in Israel. He was there with Jared Kushner, there with Steve Witkoff, who's the Middle East envoy, and talking about this peace process. Tony Katz today. Great to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. He's correct. People are searching for failure. They want to be able to say, aha, told you. You can't, at every bad thing that happens, throw it all away. But hearing JD Vance say, appreciate the Israelis, man, that's bad news for Tucker Carlson. Oh my goodness gracious. What was the latest from his show? COVID was engineered not to affect the Jews. Tucker is actually near where I live. He's going to be speaking to Turning Point at Indiana University, and it's their organization. They can do what they want. I know Tucker and Charlie Kirk knew each other to the extent of the level of their friendship. I don't have an answer for that, and I don't question it. But just because something was doesn't mean something should be. I'm sorry that that's the one they picked to go down there. You hear him talking. You're like, dear Lord, who needs this? But JD Vance is there talking about this peace deal, talking about what President Trump is trying to get done. And he turned it over in part of the conversation to Steve. I think this was this Jared Kushner or Steve Witkoff?
Signing this deal up was a challenge in and of itself, but the implementation, that's where it really is going to be the most important. And I think we are exceeding where we thought we would be at this time. I think the Vice President has come out here. He sees that. The Secretary of State will be out here. I can't tell you what a privilege it is to work with the team that we have, with Jared, who's extraordinary, the President, of course, the Vice President, and Admiral Cooper. I would also say this: we're learning so much here. This CMCC that we're setting up now, this is going to be used in other conflicts as we figure out all the intricacies of how to modulate a peace deal, go from war to peace. Lastly, in closing, I want to speak about the morning that me and Jared had. We met with 10 hostages and their families, and it was really an emotional moment. And I felt blessed to be in that room. Lots of tears, lots of people really, really grateful to President Trump for getting their children home, and you, of course, Mr. Vice President. And I want to observe that I didn't see any victims in that room. I saw strong people who have come out under very difficult circumstances. Their families are reunited, and they are so grateful.
The words of Steve Witkoff, as he was, a huge part of creating this deal. Now, does this deal last? I don't know how you create a peace deal with Hamas. I've said this time and time and time again. But when the questions started getting asked, there were a lot of questions regarding exactly that kind of thing about how one engages the peace and how the partners are going to react to it.
Turkey obviously has been a supporter of Hamas. What role will they have, and will they have troops that will be on the ground here or in the Gaza Strip? Thank you.
Well, I think, first of all, what troops are on the ground in Israel is going to be a question the Israelis have to agree to. And I'm sure that Prime Minister Netanyahu will have opinions about that. But we think everybody has a role to play here. Some of that's going to be financial. Some of that's going to be in reconstruction. Some of that's just in communication with the various parties to ensure that this deconfliction process actually works and is implemented. We're not going to force anything on our Israeli friends when it comes to foreign troops on their soil. But we do think that there's a constructive role for the Turks to play. And frankly, they've already played a very constructive role.
Israeli friends. Oh, poor Candace Owens. That's got to hurt her right in the feels. Pity.
We're very grateful for that. And you asked, they've supported Hamas in the past. No one who is a party to this conflict can look in the past and not point at something that they don't like or that they disagree with. Everybody who's been involved in this conflict can point at one other person. One of these flags can point at another flag and say, we hate that person for various reasons. The way that we're going to get to peace is to focus on the future, which is what the President of the United States has asked us to do. And we think everybody here is very willing to do that and is very eager to engage in that effort.
That's a great understanding of where this administration is at. Now, I didn't say you agreed with it. And I think it's okay if you don't agree with it. But to understand how they view things, we don't care what happened prior, and we don't care how you feel. What we care about is what's possible now. What can we get done now? How can we continue from this moment? That's the philosophy. And that's the Vice President, JD Vance, just earlier. He landed in Tel Aviv, spoke there to the crowd assembled. He's, I think, in town for a few days. That is the overarching, what is possible? What can we do to change the concept, to change the result? One of the other questions.
First of all, thank you for brokering the ceasefire deal. Two questions for you. Hamas was supposed to bring back all the hostages within 72 hours. There are still deceased hostages that are still in Gaza. Will you put a deadline for Hamas to bring back all these hostages? And second thing, President Trump tweeted about this today, Hamas killing their own people in Gaza, Palestinians who work for Israel. What is your warning to Hamas about that?
Yeah, so Steve, I'm going to ask you to follow up here, but let me say just a couple of words about the deceased hostages. I mean, one of the stations that I met with, one of the groups that's working on this that I met with earlier, They actually have a photo of the 15 deceased hostages who are still in Gaza. It is a focus of everybody here to get those bodies back home to their families so that they can have a proper burial.
Accurate. I'm not sure if everybody understands how intent the Israelis are on getting back every bone fragment. They want to bury their people. On a personal level, on a religious level, it matters greatly.
Now, that said, this is difficult. This is not going to happen overnight. Some of these hostages are buried under thousands of pounds of rubble. Some of the hostages, nobody even knows where they are. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work to get them, and that doesn't mean we don't have confidence that we will. It's just a reason to counsel in favor of a little bit of patience. This is going to take a little bit of time.
I think for a lot of people, it's the first time they've heard that. What do you mean they don't have them? What do you mean they're buried under? What do we think that Hamas was taking perfect care of remains? Remember, these are the people who took dead bodies, people they had killed, had murdered, had executed in Israel, and brought their dead bodies into Gaza. There's no caring here. There's nothing but how do you inflict maximum pain and maximum terror? That's what Hamas is about. But the real question here is what happens if Hamas doesn't disarm? How are you going to make that happen?
Well, so on the first question, no. My visit had nothing to do with events of the past 48 hours. We had actually tried to plan this visit, frankly, months ago, and now we thought this would be a good time to do it. It ended up working out. As you know, sometimes calendars are difficult, especially when you're the Vice President of the United States. But I wanted to come. I wanted to check in on things. I wanted to, talk to the troops who are working very hard to coordinate this massive relief effort. And I wanted to just see how things were going and put some eyes on it so I could call the President of the United States and actually, it's one thing to read about it. It's one thing to talk with Jared and Steve on the phone about what's going on the ground. It's another thing to actually shake somebody's hand, to look them in the eye and to understand what are the challenges, what are the things they need from me. I mean, I heard from relatively junior troops very simple things that would make their lives easier that I'm going to take back to Washington and hopefully help them with. That's why you do a visit like this, not because of anything that's happening on the ground. On your question about what is the ultimate, authority in Gaza look like, I don't know the answer to that question. And I think what's so cool, what's so amazing about what these guys have done is that we're creating a governance structure that is very flexible to what happens on the ground in the future. We need to reconstitute Gaza. We need to reconstruct Gaza. We need to make sure that both the Palestinians living in Gaza, but also the Israelis are able to live in some measure of security and stability. We're doing all those things simultaneously. And then I think once we've got to a point where both the Gazans and our Israeli friends can have some measure of security, then we'll worry about what the long-term governance of Gaza is. Let's focus on security, rebuilding, giving people some food and medicine. If we get to the point where we're arguing exactly what the governance structure in Gaza is long-term, then we should pat ourselves on the back. That's a very good problem to have, but I won't anticipate that problem before we actually have it.
You don't have a way of even getting to that place until you have Hamas disarmed, until they're gone. So how does that one happen? Because the ultimatum was given. He went to give the ultimatum. That seems obvious. Hamas has to disarm. Hamas cannot be a part of this leadership. And if they don't disarm, then as the President Trump said, they'll be obliterated. So how does that happen is one of the key questions here. Meanwhile, President Trump heads out of the White House. He's going to have lunch with Senate Republicans. I don't know what's on the menu, but I'll bring it to you. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. President Trump speaking right now. Look at this. Look at the timing. My gosh, we're very good at this.
Here, right? Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been a labor of love. We took over a building that was not properly taken care of. It just wasn't. It's a very special building, and we are taking care of it. This was grass, and when you have a news conference, and this was going on for many years, but everybody would just sink into the mud. It was extremely luxurious grass, especially when it was raining, because you'd go down about 5 inches into the mud. And when we had a press conference here, all the press standing back there, they'd be cursing me. The women would be lifting up their shoes saying, "You've destroyed my shoes. This is terrible." So we got a stone that's the exact same stone and color as the White House itself, because we wanted the friendly feeling of that light color, and it refilling of that light color, and it reflects the sun, and it keeps you cool even in the summer. And we've had press conferences. We finished it about a month ago. This is, as you see over here, the Presidential Walk of Fame. And we had this long wall with half windows because that used to be a swimming pool on the other side of the wall. That was the swimming pool where Jackie would say, "I hear women inside." Are women inside? Quite a famous, I'm not saying anything. This was a part of a
Good
movie.
Lord.
And the Secret Service said, "No, ma'am. There's no women inside, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. You're going to have to move along." "But I hear women inside." "No, ma'am. You'll have to move along, ma'am." So that was the famous swimming pool. Now it's even worse. It's for the media. They covered the pool up. They covered the pool up, and now it's for the media. And I think we have a small representative group. I don't think they allowed the rest of them. I can't believe it. What happened? They're all on the other side of the wall. Can you believe it? Because this is supposed to be sort of a private event. And there is no such thing in politics as a private event. Lindsey, you learned that a long time ago, right? The great Lindsey Graham. Doing fantastic. You're up 34 points, Lindsey. That's not bad, I'll tell you. It's not bad. So we did the Presidential Walk of Fame from the great George Washington all the way to, well, I think we have to rate him above me. So less than great, less than George. Somebody went up there, they say, "You're the third best president in the United States." This was on television, third best. And they said, "Who are the first two?" "George Washington and Abraham Lincoln." And I got extremely angry at this man. You know, you can't. It's going to be tough to beat, Mr. Senator. It's going to be, John. It's going to be very tough to beat Washington and Lincoln, but we're going to give it a try, right? Hey, they didn't put out 8 wars, 9 coming. All right, we put out 8 wars, and the 9th is coming. Believe it or not.
It's so nuts.
So I just want to say it's great to be with you. And when we're finished later on, we're going to have a little quick lunch, and they do great food at the White House. And this is used sometimes for evening, where we've had some incredible people for the evening, and some of the big foreign leaders have been coming. And most excitingly, on the other side, you see the fence and the wall. We're building a world-class ballroom. You know, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom here. We don't have a ballroom. We have a little cocktail area, but we don't have a ballroom. The East Room, it's called, is a very small cocktail area. It holds about 88 people if it's tight. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get a ballroom built, and we're putting up our own money. With the government is paying for nothing. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh. That's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money. In this case, it reminds me of lack of money because I'm paying for it, so it's the opposite. But it's going to be one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world, and it's going to be able to take care of tremendous things. When you have, as an example, I'm going to see President Xi in 2 weeks. I'm going over to South Korea. We're going to meet in South Korea. We're going to talk about a lot of things. They want to discuss the fact that they're paying 157% tariff. It's a little higher than they thought. And we're doing very well. I think we're going to do well in that negotiation. We've done well, as you know, with Japan, with South Korea, with Europe. The European nations got together. We made a deal. And it was all
President Trump hosting Senate Republicans for lunch, speaking in the is he speaking in the Rose Garden right now? He is outside. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 2 things. First, he's talking about the construction of the ballroom. I did not realize that he and private donors were paying for it. This wasn't coming out of taxpayer money to build this. I did not know that. So now what is the left complaining about? We'll have more on that. And he started with a story about we got the Hall of Presidents there, and there were these half windows. So on the other side was the swimming pool, and that's where the Secret Service told Jackie, "No, there are no women in there, Mrs. Kennedy. Nope, no women in there at all." Oh, the guy is out of his mind sometimes. Incredible. Let's take it back to the president. as he will probably be talking about the shutdown and a host of other things.
Your nuclear powers, and if you do it, we're not doing a trade deal. And 24 hours later, they called me, we have decided not to do it. We stopped the war. We stopped a potential disaster, a nuclear disaster, because of trade. And it's been really amazing. But the tariffs have made us a wealthy country. They've given us tremendous defense. They've given us things that we can do for other countries, very positive. But again, really, it's national security, it's national defense, and they are so important. And it's incredible that presidents, for the most part, didn't know how to use them, when to use them. If you go back, you'll see some of the presidents that were the most successful were believers in tariffs. And I even see foreign countries now that we are doing very well with taking ads. Don't go with tariffs. They're taking ads. I saw an ad last night from Canada. If I was Canada, I'd take that same ad also. But they're actually on television taking ads. But I do believe that everybody's too smart for that. We have a very, very big and important case coming up. We should win the case based on the legal merit. We should also win the case based on all of the things I just said. But we're a wealthy country again. Last week, as you know, they found $31 billion. They came to see me, sir. We found $31 billion. They said, we don't know why. I said, was this a good find or a bad find? It was a good find. It was a plus 31. We're used to finding negative 31s, right, for the last 30 years. I said, check the tariff shelf. Well, those tariffs haven't kicked in. Yes, they did. They kicked in 2 months ago. Check it. He comes back 2 hours later. Sir, you were right. We have an additional $31 billion, billion, not million, Lindsay, billion, that we just found from tariffs. They kicked in earlier than we thought. You were right. We're a wealthy nation again, and we're a nation that can be secure. We're a nation that can start paying down our debt. And with tariffs, we're the wealthiest nation ever in the history of the world.
Pay down the debt. If I'm going to pay these damn tariffs, that's the thing I want to see. You said it. Let's go. Pay them down.
Including China, Japan, European nations. They used tariffs against us for many years. That's why we owe $37 trillion. That's why. But they used tariffs very successfully against us, and we had presidents that never fought it. But now you have a president that does fight it. So I just want to welcome you to the incredible Rose Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it back to health. It was in very bad shape, actually, and we brought it back to health. First Lady Melania did a fantastic job on it. The surrounds and everything. It's all brand new wiring. You know, underneath there's a lot of wire, a lot of things. Everything brand new, everything beautiful. The only thing we did is we had to get a hard surface here because nobody could use it because of the grass. So I just want to welcome you, and I hope you're going to be here a lot. We're going to use it for meetings. We're going to use it for press conferences. Now we can use it. It was unusable before, and now we can use it. But everything that you see was redone. All of this was redone, and the whole White House is being redone. Some of you came through what called is being redone. Some of you came through what they call the Rose Hall.
When Donald Trump goes into realtor mode, like I want the AI videos of him showing houses in suburbia. Well, here's the master. Notice it's got the dual sinks and, of course, the tile in the bathroom. Oh, isn't that beautiful? They brought in this tile special. Like, I want that video. If anybody is better than me at the AI, if you could create that, realtor Trump, great Trump.
They did a beautiful job. They're great talents. They're very talented marble people I have, and they replaced it with beautiful Paradiso marble and statuary marble, and it's really, really beautiful. I want to thank the outstanding leadership team, and you really do have that.
I would like to hear more about the shutdown and your take on that, if you would, Mr. President. I like marble. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
I'm surprised it isn't inlaid with gold, but if you could, shut down. And where are we with Russia, Ukraine? What is about this meeting that's going to take place? I think it's in Budapest. What comes next?
Really great. Majority Whip John Barrasso was outstanding man. Thank you, John. Thank you. Great guy, too. Conference Chair Tom Cotton, He loves that military. He loves the he loves the military. Policy Committee Chair Shelley Moore Capito. Shelley, thank you very much, Shelley. Vice Chair James Langford. Very good, James, thank you. And you know, we have everybody but one person here. You know, everybody showed up. I figured you'd have like, I'd say 40 would have been a good number, right? We have everybody. We're just missing one person. You'll never guess who that is. Let me give you, he automatically votes
Rand
no
Paul.
on everything. He thinks it's good politics. It's really not good politics. He's an automatic no. But I don't know. Look, if he wanted to come, I'd probably let him come, right? I'd let him come. Begrudgingly, but would let him come. And National Republican Senatorial Committee Chair, an unbelievable guy, Tim Scott. You know, Tim.
No, that's a good question. Why isn't Rand Paul there? Did Rand Paul self-select out of going to the meeting? If so, why? What's the win? Right? I don't mind that he votes no on things. Right? We agree, we disagree. He's a senator. He gets elected by Kentucky. Fine. But what is for what reason would he not show up? Did he have something else going on? Did he have a family thing going on? I don't have the answer. But if he self-selected, was like, no, I refuse to go to that. Why? Because we're engaged in these bombings of these drug ships coming from Venezuela and Colombia. And, oh, dear Lord, the Colombian president who I'll play for you the translation. And you tell me whether or not the president of Colombia just said that if they should kill Donald Trump. I will share that with you. You'll make that call right there.
All the time, right, Susie? I said, I want Tim Scott, get up there. But he was so good. And I said to him, Tim, when you fought for yourself, you were much different. When you fought for me, you were a tiger. You were like unstoppable. You were, really was. You all saw that. What's the difference? He said, I never liked selling myself. And I love selling somebody that I really do believe in. I really believe in you. And I just felt that way. And it was so nice the way he expressed it. And I want to tell you, you are a champion. You are a winner, and congratulations. Thank you very much.
Wow. Very nice.
Telling that story, because I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad story, but I'm telling you, you are an amazing guy, and you fought for me so hard, and I really appreciate it. You got to be my #1 choice, Tim. So something happened. I appreciate it. And you're doing great, doing what you're doing right now. I also want to thank the entire Senate
#1 choice for Vice President?
Conference for your tremendous work on confirmations. Boy, did we have a couple of weeks, huh? We had some, I signed like 150 of them, and I didn't use an auto pen, by the way. I signed, you know, when you're signing these important, like a general getting approved from 3-star to 4-star and all of these different things and big confirmations and, you know, big stuff, you really have an obligation to actually sign it, I think. You probably noticed right there, number 46, we put up, right? We put up a little bit of an auto pen. We have 46, we have 45, we have 47. It's very interesting. Yeah, 46 is an auto pen. It's up there.
If you haven't seen it,
people like it. It's probably going to say
in this this photo gallery of all the presidents, as a picture of every president, and then number 46, instead of a picture of Joe Biden, it is a picture of the auto pen signing Joe Biden's signature. They did it. They actually did that. If you haven't seen it. And it infuriates people. And this gets into a conversation regarding Karoline Leavitt the other day. It gets into a conversation about President Trump and the whole No Kings rally. I will get into both of those things. The president right now giving a whole bunch of thank yous to Republicans as they're there in the Rose Garden. Lunch for the Republicans. I'm assuming they're going to be talking about the shutdown. I'm hoping the president gets into it. We'll take the break right now. We'll bring it back with the president still going, which it's Donald Trump most probably. I'll bring that to you. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.
You got them all done, and you have all those people out there working now. And
I'm all in. I'm all ears, kitten.
Instead of being very upset with the fact that we couldn't get them approved quickly. So I really appreciate it. You used a method that I wish you could use on U.S. attorneys. You know, I have 10 U.S. attorneys who are phenomenal, a Harvard, a Yale, a this, or that, all top. 10 of them, 10 of them, 10 of them. 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 10 of them, 10 of And the problem is they're not going to ever be confirmed, I guess. I put them in. They'll be there for 3 or 4 months, whatever it's about, and then they have to leave. Because anytime you have, as you know, anytime you have a Democrat senator, not even two, just one, they'll say because of the time we're in, we're not approving that person. We're not approving. They never do. They won't approve. And therefore, because of blue slip, I have to tell the person after 3 months, I'm sorry, you'll have to leave. And I put somebody else in. And I've had Democrat senators say the only one we'll ever approve is a Democrat. This is not constitutional. And you really, I hope you can look at that blue slip thing, because I have 10 people that are phenomenal, and they're going to have to leave office. Highly educated, top of their class, everything. And they're going to have a mark on their career that they were a U.S. attorney for 3 months or 4 months, and then they had to leave. And that's so unfair. It's unfair to the public, because the public voted for me in a landslide, and I'm supposed to be picking the U.S. attorneys. And this goes for judges also, but actually more so even for the U.S. attorney with a blue slip. So I have these phenomenal people, many of them young, but truly fantastic people, and they're wondering what's going to happen in another 3, 4, 5 weeks. They're going to have to leave office. I think it's a shame, and I hope you can do something about it, because I'd like to tell those people, we put you there, and you're not going to have on your resume for the rest of your life, you were there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and you left like you got canned. So I hope you look at that. Very important. And after your pivotal changes to the Senate rules last month, as a result, this is what you did, the unprecedented obstruction by the Democrats. We've confirmed more than 175 public servants, people that are phenomenal, to keep posts, and that's just been over the last couple of weeks. It's an unbelievable thing what you've done, John. All of you together.
Lots of thanks.
So working closely
some
with
shutdown
me
talk,
and
there's some
House
Ukraine-Russia
Majority,
talk, please.
Republican Senate also gave us the largest working-class tax cut in American history, and you passed the Lake and Riley Act to throw illegal alien criminals out of our country. You passed the Genius Act and the Take It Down Act with the support of our wonderful First Lady. By the way, she got actual support from the other side. It was bipartisan. I think Rand didn't vote for it again, but I think it was only Rand. You had bipartisan support other than maybe Rand. But another one I'm going to ask you to vote for, and it's in the House now, and I hear it's doing well in the House, James. It's Kate's Law. A young lady named Kate Steinle, I remember it so well, probably 8 or 10 years ago now in San Francisco. She was holding hands with her father on the San Francisco pier, looking out into the water. It's beautiful. Everything was beautiful, but the person wasn't beautiful that did this. And this was an illegal alien that came into our country 5 times, was thrown out 4 or 5 times, I don't even know, but a lot, and came back and shot her through the head. And she went down and she looked at her father, Daddy, Daddy, something happened, and she immediately passed away in his arm. And I mean, you can imagine, it was so sad, such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. Father was destroyed, virtually destroyed. And they passed they wanted to pass what they call Kate's Law, and it's now again in Congress, and I hear we're going to get it passed in Congress, and when it gets up to the Senate, I hope you guys can pass it. And basically, very simply, it says that if you're an illegal alien and you come in and you get thrown out, if you come back and get caught, you have to spend 10 years in jail. Very simple. Very simple. If they would have had that, Kate Steinle would be alive today. That was a big event at the time.
Coming back.
You remember Bill O'Reilly. For those of you that like Bill, I think I like Bill, but he was the one, he devoted his life to that law, trying to get it passed. I think it's time that we pass it, so that if you get taken out of the country and you come back illegally, knowing that this law is in existence, you go to jail for a 10-year period, and it's going to keep the repeat offenders from coming in. It's going to really keep them from coming in. Senate Republicans have already voted 11 times to get our government back and open for business. We have record business. We're going to be, I think, by the time I hit month number 12, I think we're going to have $20 trillion of investment. We're over 17 right now. As an example, President Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to have $20 trillion in less than 12 months. And we're
President Trump speaking in the Rose Garden to Republican senators, a lunch for them. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Of course, the shutdown is still going on, day 21. And what President Trump is doing is hitting the highlights. Here's what Republicans have done. Here's what we voted on here. Here's what we voted on there. Here's what we need to do here. Here's what we need to do there. Now, highlighting Republican achievements is not a bad idea, and it forces a news cycle conversation about it. But the topics that I think are most connect right now are shut down, what's happening with the possibility of peace with Ukraine and Russia, and how do you thwart Vladimir Putin? What's going on with this peace deal between Israel and Gaza? Hitting on those things matters. You hit a Republican success story, hit where Democrats are now hurting the American people. Everything about this conversation should be a lead up to the midterms because we're in it already. It's October. Midterms are a year from now. We are in an election cycle right now. Am I the first person to call it? Because I'm calling it. We're in the election cycle as we speak. So I want to hear the president talk more about that. Let me bring it back to him.
By the way, we're going to charge you tariffs, but I had started the process. We were going, the country was doing good, and I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I put the full tariffs on China. Biden left the tariffs because he couldn't, it was too much money, but they gave so many exceptions that they were essentially meaningless. In other words, here's the tariffs, but you don't have to pay if you look at somebody the wrong way. You don't have to pay. So they didn't pay very much. But with me, they were paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And again, I have a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him. And I want him to make a good deal for China. But it's got to be fair.
But you've already got the fight on rare earth minerals. You already have China engaging the squeeze because they don't want the United States to get involved as they look to take back Taiwan. So they made a lot of moves on the throttling of rare earth minerals, which caused President Trump to say, well, what are we meeting for? What's the point? Why do we have to get together? I don't see any point in that. A meeting most probably now might be back on. And this is all China saying, look, all we want is for you to look the other way when we reunite Taiwan with mainland China, and how one China is the will of all Chinese people, which is not the case at all, because communists don't care about the will of the people. They care about the power they have over the people. So all of this has been negotiation. We'll see where that goes.
This act of partisan spite, Chuck Schumer, who I've known for a long time, and the radical left Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage to appease the extremists in their party. And they are extreme. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They're extreme. And you know what? We had a landslide election. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won the swing states, all 7. Remember, they said, oh, if Trump could get 3 swing states, he'd be. And, well, I didn't get 3. I got 7. We got all 7 by a lot, by record numbers. We won the Electoral College, 312 votes. They said it's very hard for a Republican. It's harder for a Republican, although now I think we've swapped it. I think it's now harder for a Democrat, because if you see what we've done with the Hispanics, with the black workers and black men, and recently a poll came out with black men and women were doing so well. You know,
and these things are true, because the Democratic Party isn't the party of anybody who's actually working. It's the party of elitists, and they've done this to themselves. But go back to those swing states. The president's right. He won those swing states. But Sam Brown lost the Senate race in Nevada, and Kari Lake lost the Senate race in Arizona. And we lost the Senate race in Michigan, and we lost the Senate race in Wisconsin. They voted for Trump. They didn't vote for Republicans. That's the difference. It's a huge difference. So you have to build up the Republican brand, because the Republican brand in 2024 was nowhere near the Trump brand. And people who are low propensity voters didn't vote down ticket. They voted for Trump, but they went home. So Yes, you won all 7 swing states, but not the Republicans didn't. And that's the work that's ahead. That's a big place of focus. I'm Tony Katz. President's still going to talk, guys. I'm going to
restaurant that she's not going to be
Okay,
accosted,
listen.
shot,
Go
beat up, raped. It's unbelievable how bad it was. It was one of the worst in the country, and now it's stone cold. I don't say the word perfect, but it's pretty damn close. And, you know, they
By
used
the
to
way,
have,
if you land a finger on the dump
they would
button
average
when we're
more than
back
a
on air,
murder a
you
week
never know with him.
in Washington, D.C. This is just before we got here, a murder a week. Think of that. The capital of, in my opinion, the capital of the world. They come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come from Florida. You call up the parents, I'm sorry, sir, your son has been shot and killed. We have no crime here now. We have no crime. And the National Guard has been unbelievable, the job. Unbelievable. And you know, it also looks better. I do a tour, I hop in that beast. I feel very safe in the beast. The windows are this thick. But I hop in the beast and I tell the Secret Service, let's drive around town. I used to do that myself. I could drive myself around. I actually like that better. But now I don't think it's a good idea. But we drive around in the streets. The place is looking much, the grass is good, the fences are down, there's no tents, there's no anything. We are looking like it's just a whole new look. And the most important thing, there's no crime. And we're going to fix the roads. We have great pavers. We're going to fix the medians in between the roads, which are half of them are falling down. We're going to take some of the tiles off the bridges, the tunnels that you have. They've been up for 40 years. They're rotted. And we'll put up brand new, gorgeous white tiles like it's supposed to be. But this place is looking really good. And we haven't even started the real fixing up of the town. We're getting rid of the graffiti. You notice there's almost no graffiti anymore. A lot of that beautiful statuary marble had red graffiti all over it, had bad signs up, and it stopped. We've taken out 1,700 career criminals and people that came in through an open border. They came in through Biden's open border, and we've taken them out. The thing having to do with all of the elements in the great, big, beautiful bill, I'll tell you, it's amazing what we've done. $200 billion in costs for medical. What we've done, $50 billion for rural hospitals. And remember, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no
Go
tax
through the whole
on,
list.
Think of all of
Hey,
these
it's not
things
wrong
that
to
we've
go through
done.
the list.
This is the biggest, this
Look
is
at
the
all we've
greatest
done in
bill.
9
Social
months.
Security, no tax on overtime.
Look, it's a good
But
thing
no
to remind
tax on
America.
tips. I got that from a waitress in Nevada. I was making a speech, and I'm at one of my restaurants in the hotel I own there, and I say, how are you doing? Well, sir, it's terrible. They're taxing my tips. They're going, I wouldn't have even thought that. And I looked at it, and she said to me, sir, there should be no tax on tips. I said, say it one time more. No tax on tips. I walked outside to the press. I said, there will be no tax on tips. She was right. And
I never
we
heard
won
that
that
story.
state by a lot. That's not a state that we win by that much, David, but we won it by a lot. So it was pretty good. But that bill is chock full of so many different things. So it was the biggest bill. I'm actually saying this to the fake news so that they maybe print it, but maybe not, because you people know. It was the biggest bill ever passed in Congress. And what we did was a little risky. We put everything into the bill, John, right? And some people were against it. They said, no, you got to do small bites. And we gave it a shot, and we got it passed. I got a call from John. He said, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Sir, we have 4 hard no's. Could you please call him? I said, what time is it, John? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, sir. So I call up. One of you is sitting right here. I said, Jim, could I say hello to you? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? He said, sir, you have my vote. I said, wow. Then I called up another person. I'll use fictitious names. Doug, could I get your vote? You've got it, sir.
What is happening?
Then I called up another one. How about Josh? Could I have your vote, Josh? Because I like Josh. And Josh, who can be very difficult, said, sir, you have my vote. His wife was screaming at him on the other side. Sir, you have my vote. But I called people, and they weren't really hard-nosed. They wanted a little attention, unfortunately, at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I like the ones that don't like the attention, but we'll take it anywhere we can. And we got it passed, right, John? And nobody thought that could happen because you have a small majority. And in the how about in the House, we had a majority of 3.
Now, I know what you might be
We
saying.
actually went down after that for a period of about 2 months.
Oh my gosh,
We
he
went down to a
rambles. And
majority
it's
of
all
House.
about him, and it's always like he's nice, but it's a dig and everything. The stream of consciousness stuff from Trump is what drives a lot of people on the left, certainly some people on the right, drives them crazy. That is the thing that there's not a single Democrat who can do this. There's not a single Democrat who can engage, make you smile. Oh my gosh, what's he going to say next? Not a one. And that is seen as authenticity. And I would argue that it is. Now, it might be nutty. You might be like, man, I wish he didn't. But you can't deny it. You can't deny that his idea of personal is I have to get done when I have to get done. And if you're the impediment, you're the object of my glare. And once it's over, we're on to something else. I don't have to glare at you. We're good. It's how he views everything. It's how he does everything. And in those stories, he's sharing that. And there is not a Democrat who can come across as that amenable. In terms of any level of bench that Democrats have, it doesn't exist. They don't have anybody who can connect the way he does, even if you think he's being pompous.
Care, Social Security, it secures all those things. And they just are so bad. You know, they said death. It was like death. And there's nothing about death. Theirs is death because they're going to lose Medicaid. They're going to lose Social Security. They're going to lose Medicare. All of those things are going to be gone because the whole country would be bankrupt and you're not going to have any kind of medical insurance. So with us, it's the opposite. And it's a great bill. We don't need any more. And I want to just say from the beginning, our message has been very simple. We will not be extorted on this crazy plot of theirs. They've never done this before. Nobody has. You always vote for an extension. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats need to vote for the clean bipartisan CR and reopen our government. It's got to be reopened right now. We're not doing that.
Now he's getting into it.
They are the obstructionists. And the reason they're doing it is because we're doing so well. We're doing well all over the world. We're doing well with the close to $20 trillion that I just told you about. It will be that number, but even if you take it down to over 17,
So I'll be back
that's
in
a guarantee.
3 minutes.
We're doing well with everything. Car plants are pouring back into our country. AI plants, we're leading, we're dominating China right now in AI. And I did something that I think you'd like because we have an old grid. It's a tired grid. It doesn't have the juice that you need to fire up these plants. You know, these plants will need more than double the energy we have right now for the whole country. That's how big it is. And we can't do that. There's no way we can do that. China's building right now 52 power stations. But I did something better. I'm letting everybody build their own power plant so they'll become like an electric utility in addition to AI. But if they want to build their own plant and we get their approvals within less than a month, it used to take 5 years prior to rejection. Sometimes a guy in Louisiana, they had one that took 12 years and then they got rejected. I got it approved in 2 weeks when I got into office. That was
Now, if he starts getting into a conversation about SMRs, small modular reactors, which are small nuclear reactors, this is a very important advancement. The concern about data centers and the amount of water they use, the amount of energy they use is a legitimate concern. Don't deny it. It's legitimate. And you have a lot of utility prices going up. It's a serious issue. And again, goes back to how can this economy be good when I'm paying more for electricity, paying more for auto insurance, paying more for homeowners insurance, never mind the property taxes issue. You can't escape these things. So the money has to not go somewhere. It means I can't go out to eat or I can't buy another cigar, whatever the case may be. But the data centers are coming whether you like them or not. So the question is, how do you create situations where the power is handled and not an abuse of the citizen? And these SMRs may very well be the case. Very interested in this. I'm also a fan and a believer in nuclear power. And by the way, yes, not paying more for groceries. Egg prices are down. Paying for tariffs, yes, that much is true. But it's not necessarily true that you're paying more for groceries on all things. But we'll get into a conversation about beef and Argentinian beef. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. President Trump is still speaking. We're still going to carry it. Let's get back to him, and the radio show will be joining in just about 25 seconds.
And right now, you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, which tells you about leadership, and that includes your leadership. So as you know, my door is always open to anyone. It's not like that AOC. How about her, where she said, she's talking about having rebellions and everything. She said, well, my door is always open. But she's not the leader. I'm sure the leaders felt very nicely about when she said her door is open. Who the hell wants to go into her door anyway? She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's the one that started. You know, I remember, I'll never forget, she never took a course on the environment. And I watched her one day, and she was on television. She said, yes, our planet will be dead within 12 years. That was a long time ago. Our planet was supposed to be dead. Remember the 12-year theory? We were environmentally dead. No, these people, they've got an agenda that nobody quite understands. The good news is they don't understand it either. They really have no idea.
The president speaking in the Rose Garden to Senate Republicans, touting Republican accomplishments, his accomplishments over the past 8 months, and then saying Ocasio-Cortez, she doesn't know what she's doing, she's not smart, talking about the environment, the planet will be destroyed, and well, he is right. The agenda, but we know the agenda. The agenda is power and control through green. Tony Katz today. Guys, good to be with you. Live streaming on YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz. You should go check it out for yourself. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. The president is doing President Trump things. Let's take it back to him.
If you have a great presidency, it only makes sense that you win the midterm. So there should be no reason for it. Somebody's going to explain there might be some dark, deep psychological reason where they want to vote the opposite way. I don't know what it is, but we have to win the midterms. Otherwise, all of the things that we've done, so many of them are going to be taken away by the radical left lunatics. I mean, we're going to end up with a communist mayor in New York. Can you believe it? A communist. Remember, I would always say, we will not have a socialist elected in our country. Remember, I'd say that all the time. And I was right. We skipped socialist. We got a communist elected. So I didn't tell a lie. I didn't tell a lie. I was right. We'll have a communist, not a socialist. But we've already seen the impacts of the dangerous game that they're playing. Democrats are causing delays in our air traffic control system. So important. We wouldn't have had, you know, this Pete Buttigieg, he spent billions of dollars on fixing the air traffic control that used copper wire going into glass wire. Any union electrician here or any non-union electrician would say you can't hook copper into glass. It doesn't work. They spent billions of dollars. They turned on the system, and it was stone cold blank. We're getting a brand new system. We have bids out now. We have 3 great companies bidding, and I want one bid. Sean Duffy's doing terrifically. I want one bid. I want just bid, and they're responsible for everything, not where they had like 1,000 contractors. Every contractor, they were all running around. In the end, if one of them does a bad job, we want to be able to blame somebody, and it's going to be one of the very big companies because there's a lot of interest in it. So the air traffic control system is going to be rebuilt. Over 1 million.
If the president wants to talk about people being accountable and the government not just spending money after money after money and nothing ever gets done, this is exactly what I voted for and what you voted for. Accountability. You don't get it done, you got to fix it on your dollar. You don't have to keep paying for it, which is really a story of Trump and New York City and the Wallman skating rink, which is a great story. If I remind me, I'll get into it.
During this reckless and completely unnecessary affair, and you could call it the Schumer shutdown or the Democrat shutdown. You can call it whatever you want. And I will say this, that we have Darth Vader. You know Darth Vader, right? Darth Vader is a man who, I think he's sitting right. Is that Darth? Stand up, please, Darth Vader. Stand up. Does everybody know? They call him Darth Vader. I call him a fine man. But he's cutting
Russ Vogt.
Democrat priorities.
Office of Management Budget.
And they're never going to get him back. And they've caused us, and they've really allowed us to do it. And by the way, thank you. You're doing a great job, I have to tell you. So really a great job. Because many of the things that they're cutting, like the New York project, $20 billion we're cutting it. They're not going to get it back. I mean, they're not going to get a lot of things back. They may not get it back. Maybe we'll talk to them about it. But they're losing all the things that they wanted. But many of the things that they wanted are things that we don't want. Things that are just so bad for our country. And we're cutting those things out. So while they thought they were doing maybe bad, maybe indirectly they're doing good. The cynical comment that they made all over the place, and all of their cynical remarks proves beyond all doubt that Schumer is a calculating political partisan, but we knew that. But he's somebody that's in deep trouble. He's losing in all of the polls. He's even losing to AOC +3. Remember +3? What happened to the +3? Are they still around? I had one. I met when I was at the United Nations, I met the president of Somalia. And I said, I have somebody I'd like to give back to you. He said, no, thanks. We don't want her. He didn't want anything to do with her. But today I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to stop.
That's an Ilhan Omar joke.
Let our country get back. In the greatest moment in the history of our country, in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame. So I'm asking them to be smart. It's not working. They're getting killed in the polls. The public understands what they're doing. They're doing the wrong thing. And with that, I just want to say welcome to the White House. When we're finished, they do a great job. When they're finished, we're going to all come in. It'll be a little crowded, but that's okay. Into the Oval Office, we'll talk a little bit, couple of minutes. Got some interesting things. And I think I'd like to have, if I could, John, come up and say a few words, and we can close it out. And by the way, this is an open mic. It's open to the world. I think they can hear me out on the street. If anybody wants to come up and say after John, say it.
Come on. Are you insane, sir? You can't give senators a chance to talk. We'll be here for forever.
Are trying to keep it closed. Thank you.
John is John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, who's coming up to speak right now, who, of course, is leading
Mr. President, thank you for having us.
regarding this shutdown that the Democrats are still engaging.
The Democrat shutdown, but we are all here today because your Republican team in the Senate is unified. This is now the longest full shutdown in history, but everybody here has voted now 11 different times to open up the government, and we are going to keep voting to open up the government, and eventually the Democrats, hopefully sooner or later, are going to come around. But Mr. President, your agenda is the right one for this country. This is your team. We are your partners in achieving and implementing the agenda that you campaigned on and the American people voted for. And you just mentioned it has been a series of promises made and promises kept, whether it's national security, whether it's the border, whether it's the economy, taxes, regulations, energy, Trump newborn accounts, school choice. You look at what we've accomplished so far. It is a remarkable, remarkable team and a record of accomplishment that can't be matched. And I would argue, at least in my time here, but perhaps in all of history. So thank you for your leadership, and we will continue to be good partners and work with you to get the work done for the American people. And let's hope that the Democrats get wise and, starting perhaps even today, vote to reopen the government so we can get back to work for the American people. Mr. President, thank you for having us at your home. You have beautiful homes, and thank you for everything you're doing to make this such a beautiful place. This is America's house. We're delighted to be here. Thank you.
There's no way another senator gets up. There's no way. Trump's actually sitting in the crowd with everybody else. There's no way anybody else is going to get up. No, they don't. He's sitting there. They're having. They didn't say what they're having for lunch. That's too bad. I would like to have known what that was going to be. For a second, I was truly concerned that another senator was going to get up. That is crazy. And yes, Kathleen, it's our home. Actually, he corrected himself afterwards. Never forget that's our place. The White House is ours. So the president done speaking to the Republicans. You've got JD Vance in Israel talking about trying to secure the peace there, and this weird conversation about Argentinian beef, which is really a conversation about us propping up Argentina. And the question is, should we? Keep it here. A lot to get to. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com, and I'll be talking about the Argentinian beef. You will be heading over to Defiance Beef, DefianceBeef.com. Using promo code Eat a Drink a Smoke, you'll get $150 off your entire order. I've got the unboxing video coming out. The amount of so first I ordered a quarter. I ordered a quarter cow. In that quarter cow, I received 53 pounds of ground beef, all 21-day aged. I have 7 ribeyes. I have 7 strips. I have sirloin steaks. I have chuck roasts. I have a rump roast. I have a 6-pound brisket. I have stew meat, cube meat, things I'm gonna have to look up. I have a flank steak. I have a skirt steak. I have soup bones. 4 boxes. It was 4 boxes. Everything frozen. Everything dry ice, perfectly packed in levels of insulation, and then took it all out, checked it all out, into the chest freezer. It went, done. So I have a smaller chest freezer, and this was about half the chest freezer. So I could have gone a half and filled the chest freezer completely. And so I think the next one is going to be a full. I think I'm going to go full cow next time, and then either split it with Fingers Malloy, who I do Eat Drink Smoke with, or keep it and just get another chest freezer. That's probably it. DefianceBeef.com. Use promo code Eat Drink Smoke right here in Indiana. Shipped directly to you. 21-day aged. The burgers. That was the first thing we did. They're brilliant, and we did those cast iron. They're spectacular. They're so good. The beef flavor is stupendous. Right amount of fat in there. Terrific. Defiance Beef. DefianceBeef.com. You don't need Argentinian beef. You need beef from America. DefianceBeef.com. Promo code Eat Drink Smoke and $150 off your order. Let's get back to the show. JD Vance is there in Israel answering questions from the Assembly Press, specifically about the idea of where funding is going to go and Hamas.
Okay.
So, first of all, no reconstruction aid, no reconstruction funds will be going into areas that Hamas still controls. And as far as the demilitarization goes, once the ISF is up, there needs to be a security force that they can feel safe from, that in order for it to be the transition to be complete. So that needs to happen. There are considerations being happening now in the area that the IDF controls, as long as that can be secured, to start the construction as a new Gaza in order to give the Palestinians living in Gaza a place to go, a place to get jobs, a place to live. So that's one of the many things being considered. Right now, again, there's been several work streams that have occurred over the last years. Those are all being synthesized and updated here at the center, and then they'll go before President Trump and the Board of Peace to get recommendations on what to build, how to phase it. But that's definitely something now that's being very strongly considered.
Key here is, and the conversation continues to grow about, well, how do you ensure that they are out of power? Because to be out of power, they have to be disarmed. How do you make that happen? The JD Vance and everybody is seeming very, very clear, making it very clear that they do not want to discuss the level of force that might be necessary to make that happen. But if you're talking about, well, if Hamas doesn't disarm, they'll be obliterated, there's only one way to make that happen. But it seems very clear that on the ground there, whether it's Steve Witkoff, whether it's Jared Kushner, whether it's the vice president on this trip, they do not want to discuss as of yet what that is going to mean, what that obliteration is going to look like. But if you say it, you actually have to do it. So how much pressure is Trump going to put on Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, etc., to do that heavy lifting, to take the guns out of Hamas' hands at all costs? That's going to be the question. One of the other things that has people asking questions, and I think legitimately so, is the conversation about Argentinian beef. So President Trump has been very focused on providing assistance to Argentina. You have Javier Milei. You had the leader of Argentina, who has done some incredible work in bringing down inflation, incredible work on bringing some financial sanity to Argentina. That said, they are very far, very, very far from being out of the woods. How now do you provide assistance to them, and is that our responsibility? So first, President Trump talked about the credit swaps. This is not something that's usually done with a nation like Argentina, because the Argentinian peso isn't, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Worth a damn. It just isn't. So now you're going to engage $20 billion worth of credit swaps. You're going to take 20 billion pesos, 20 billion in pesos, and you're going to hand the Argentinians 20 billion US dollars. The dollar has value. The Argentinian peso does not. That's not me being rude. That's factual. So what happens is if you have Argentina having our cash, we're holding on to useless pesos. Argentina then goes about buying Chinese goods. If that's the case, what happens is that we are now funding China to the tune of $20 billion, and we're holding the bag. We're holding on to this useless money to give Argentina a hand. Now, giving Argentina a hand is in and of itself a very interesting conversation, because this is about the idea of soft power. We build our relationships with a South American nation, which isn't the worst idea in the world, because China has been working overtime to build its South American relations like they're building their African relations. But understand, it's not about building a relationship, it's building a usury relationship. In African nations, they've been putting investments in, oh yeah, we'll build an airport for you. But they built the airport so they control the airport. So now they're controlling the ins and the outs, and if they're going to control the airport, they'll control how you engage in trade. They weren't engaging in an investment where certainly they could make a profit, but rather it's a control mechanism. In South America, it's been a conversation of rail lines and other things, specifically for what product? Soybeans. And we see this issue with American farmers right now and real concerns. China buys a massive amount of soybeans because they utilize the soybean and the byproduct to feed the hogs. Pigs are a massive, massive source of food in China. I think it's top. So if you have China procuring and building its own supply chain of soybeans in South America, it creates a real issue for American farmers. You then have the issue of China trying to engage power and control and dominance and sway over South America, which is a threat to us in North America. So an investment in like this is meant to keep those relationships intact so you can thwart Chinese power or the projection thereof. Now, someone might look at that and say that's a very neocon concept. Yep, Trump's doing it. He's absolutely doing it. Holding the bag on $20 billion. You can argue that as a conversation of national security, whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. And I could actually argue both. And I think that if you live in the real world, you understand that you're dealing with these kinds of issues, and they're real and they're legitimate. The conversation, though, about buying Argentinian beef. I can't tell you that I'm an expert on Argentinian beef. I get all my beef from Defiance Beef, which is a farm right here in Indiana. They're sponsors of my cigar and bourbon show, Eat, Drink, Smoke, defiancebeef.com. You can actually use the promo code Eat, Drink, Smoke and get $150 off your order. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke, defiancebeef.com. I just got my quarter cow. 4 boxes, unboxed it. It was all packaged perfectly in the chest freezer. It went. I have a video coming out about it. Very, very impressed. I have 53 pounds of 21-day age ground beef, ladies and gentlemen. That was from a quarter cow. That's not everything. Strips, tenderloins, rump roast, short ribs. I have got everything. It's beautiful. Adding Argentinian beef to the U.S. Well, this is a way to bring down beef prices because beef prices have gotten very, very high at the store. Absolutely. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Anybody who's done any level of shopping anywhere has seen this. But the idea of we're going to further bolster the Argentinian economy with $20 billion and now this, I can accept that people say, no, well, wait a second. Are you telling me the beef prices are so expensive because we don't have enough beef? Are you telling me that beef prices are that expensive because the ranchers are having trouble? Is there something else at play? Because what I think Americans hear is, I thought we were supposed to buy American this, American that, American the other. Now you want me to buy Argentinian beef? I don't think that this idea is one that's going to capture the American mind at all. You tell me. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Look at that. Caught me before I could sit down. My God. So I figured out that the humidor I have this very large refrigerator humidor. With temperature changes going on outside, it's affecting some temperature changes inside. And so if you have an understanding of refrigeration, let's see if I've got the basic understanding here. It seems that the compressor, maybe it's not the compressor. I think the compressor is working. But so you've got the water in there, and the water then circulates through the system and humidifies. But when there's a temperature change, or if I change the temperature in the humidor itself, which I can, it's like a shock to the system. And the water that's in the system comes back down and collects. So even if you add water to it over time, you've got all this water that's circulating through and humidifying, and then it condenses again. And so the water chamber, like where you put the water in, it overflows. It creates a flood. So I avoided it this time. But if I make any change, or there's any real change in weather, it causes the whole system to, I don't know, hyperventilate, and then everything just recollects. It's very, very strange. So I don't know if there's a problem or if I'm managing it incorrectly. I don't even know if I fully explained it correctly, but that's basically the situation that I'm dealing with right there. So if you've got an idea, an understanding of refrigeration, I'm all in. I'm not saying we don't buy beef from Argentina. I'm saying that if the objective is to bring more Argentinian beef into the marketplace, I don't think that goes over well with Americans, where you've said, buy American, buy American, buy American. Otherwise, you're just going to pay, tariffs, and it's going to cost you more. That's where I think the disconnect comes from. And people go, I don't know about this. And by the way, Defiance beef is excellent. So the presidents of Colombia and Trump are having a schism. Let's call it that. Let's call it a schism, shall we? Trump referred to him as a lunatic. There's issue with drugs, and now he's talking about enhancing tariffs. The president of Colombia is doing an interview, not Columbia University, the nation, Colombia, is doing an interview. And the interviewer is saying that the situation is concerning. So there's a translation underneath, and I'm gonna read it off to you. Let's start here.
Por esta extensa conversación en vivo, me voy con preocupación.
Obvio, preocupante la situación.
Pero
talking about the concerns regarding the United States and Colombia, to which the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, is saying what in life does not have concern.
Espero que usted encuentre la sabiduría y el pragmatismo para salir de esto.
The interviewer is like, I hope you've got the wisdom, the pragmatism to get us out of this.
Ya veremos.
He's like, oh, I got it. Don't you worry about that.
El problema es que dudo.
The problem is, I doubt that this is on Trump's mind. What, the fact that he said this about you, the fact that the clear push from this White House regarding drugs and drug running and issues is something that he's focused on, and clearly the taking out of these Venezuelan drug boats, this is happening, referring to Maduro as a narco-terrorist, looking for his arrest, and whether or not that's actually putting us on a war footing with Venezuela. I think he's a little bit aware of it there, the president of Colombia, Petro.
Pero confío
says, but I trust
en que la Reserva Democrática de las instituciones norteamericanas que no aún existen en Colombia sean capaces de poner la ciencia y la verdad por encima de la calumnia
slander and arrogance and greed. I honestly am not sure what I'm supposed to take from that. I don't know what anybody is supposed to make from that. But here's now where it gets interesting.
Su misión no es cambiar a Trump.
The reporter says your mission is not
Su
to
misión
change Trump. And
es
the president
buscar
says no. The
la
reporter says your
mejor
mission is to
negociación posible
possible
para los millones de
negotiation
colombianos que
for the
dependen
millions of
de esos
Colombians who
empleos de esa
depend on
Tiene
economía.
jobs.
una
The
primera
economy.
salida y es cambiar
The president of Colombia says humanity has a first off ramp, and it is to change Trump
a Trump. De diversas
in
maneras.
various ways. He says
Puede ser
means
por
it.
el mismo Trump.
The easiest way may
La
be
más
through
fácil.
Trump himself. The easiest,
Si no,
not
sácala a Trump.
get rid of Trump. He snaps his fingers. If you can't change him, snaps his fingers and says, get rid of Trump. And this has been taken as, is he calling for the assassination of Donald Trump? And the answer is, maybe he is. Maybe he is calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. This would not be surprising. There are a lot of people who are very much focused on the violence. This was one of the, and I don't think there's any cursing in this one, Producer Landon, but finger on the dump button. This was one of those no kings nonsense rallies. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. There we go. Now I know what I'm doing.
Here now. But if that doesn't happen, and we're not promoting it for 1 second, but if that doesn't happen, there will be violence. Yes. And these people had the opportunity to stop it. And they didn't.
If you don't do what we tell you to do, there will be violence, and it will be your fault for not doing what we told you to do. Liberal white women, am I right or am I right or am I right? So the president of Colombia, this woman, I mean, this is their argument. Their argument is you're the problem, and you have to do what we tell you, and you have to live in fear. And if you don't change, we will take you out. Pretty incredible. Then you had this woman screaming about Republicans, screaming about Trump. Now, I did edit this. And I think, again, Producer Landon, I got it all. She's staring into the camera. She's yelling. And at one moment, well, here you go. This is how rational these people are. Understand, the president of Colombia, I think it can be seen as you called for the assassination of Trump. Get rid of Trump. Here is this woman, I forget where she is, saying, hey, if you didn't get him out, you had the chance to get him out, this is all your fault because you didn't do what we told you to do. So therefore, violence is on the table because you didn't do what we told you to do. Again, the push for violence. Then this.
Round them all up. Put them in a big room that kind of looks like it could be a gas chamber. Don't actually do anything to them. Like, they'll be fine. Don't gas chamber them, but just put them in a room and tell them that's what you're gonna fucking do to them. Watch them all cry like the little baby back bitches that they actually are on their insides, and probably piss and shit their damn pants. Oh yeah? Is that funny? I had one of you as a little brother. I know exactly how you got the way you are. And it's because your daddy was exactly the same fucking way. You're not even your own person. You're just a compilation of all the hatred that your father handed down to you, you dumb mother.
She's single, guys. Producer Landon just asked for her phone number. Yes, you did. That's the way I tell the story. We're now to the let's joke about putting them in gas chambers. Oh, let's not gas them, but let's make them afraid. This is the political left. They have normalized the violence. they have normalized killing. They think it's okay. They think it's worthy. They think that they are good and decent, that they are in the right. And then they're upset about a ballroom. They're screaming about a $250 million ballroom renovation in addition to the White House that they're not even paying for. I didn't realize until today that Trump and donors are paying for this thing. Maybe I knew that, I forgot, but I'll say I didn't know until today. What are you complaining about? But it doesn't matter what they complain about. They're always complaining about something. It's a threat to democracy that Trump is building a ballroom that the taxpayer isn't paying for, but it's totally fine to have people out there saying put Republicans in gas chambers or kill them, and it's their fault for allowing it to happen. Which brings us to Karoline Leavitt. Two things can happen at the same time, but you should rank these things. People very upset with the White House press secretary because she has been getting text messages from a reporter from Huffington Post, and she wrote back that she's sick and tired of his BS postings, his BS text. I think that's fine. I think you can absolutely say that. He, of course, shared the text message. No one should be surprised about that. But sometimes someone can just be sending you nonsense after nonsense after nonsense. I had to block people from leaving messages, block people's emails, because it's the same message 19,000 times. It's not moving me. You're not sharing anything. You think that you're able to somehow affect how I view the world through the same level of hatred and vitriol. I don't need to again say to you, hey, you're wrong. All right, I'm done with you. I push you to the side. I'm out. I don't need it. I've heard your argument. I found your argument lacking. You want to still yell? Goodbye. I think it's okay for her to say that. But when this reporter was texting and said, this meeting with Trump and Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, it's going to happen in Budapest. There's a history there with Budapest and Russia and who thought Budapest was a good idea? And Karoline Leavitt responded, your mom. Which, admittedly, I didn't see your mom jokes coming from Karoline Leavitt. I was not fully prepared for that. And then, of course, you had people upset during the No Kings rally because you had the AI video, right? It's Trump in a fighter jet, and he's wearing a crown because it's No Kings, and he's flying over the crowd, and then from the plane, a brown liquid drops on the people like activist and paid activist, paid propagandist, Harry Sisson. That's my view, paid propagandist. And it's Trump pooping all over the crowd. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not. I think it's one of those things that's an unforced error. I actually think it's boring. I think the White House press secretary shouldn't be responding with your mom. I have no problem with, I'm tired of your BS nonsense here. But I don't think the White House press secretary should respond with your mom. The left has rationalized killing, wants you in gas chambers, and it's your fault that they shoot at you. And then the left responds by saying, I can't believe that Donald Trump made an AI video. First of all, he didn't. Someone said, hey, what do you think of this? And he said, post it. That's what happened. What a very, very weird view of the world. We can argue, man, I wish the president didn't do this, or I wish the president didn't do that. But if we're going to rank these things, calling for the death of Republicans, wanting to put them in gas chambers is worse. So we're going to stay focused. And as for the president of Colombia, I think it was a threat. Colombia has recalled their U.S. ambassador, by the way. I don't think that threat should go unpunished. responded to. Now, the response may not come today, but that kind of tough guy talk, you talk about trade. Killing him, I think that might have to be dealt with a bit differently. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Are you staying apprised of the situation with Glock? Let's say no. What is the situation with Glock? I'm heading over to, oh, wow, look at that. So this is bearingarms.com. And Bearing Arms has the story, Glock's decision to discontinue dozens of models because of lawsuits and legislation targeting Glock pistols. They will stop shipping Gen 3, Gen 5, and Gen 5 MOS models as of November 30th. They're going to roll out a new V series December of this year. Holy. The 17, the 19. Wow, look at that. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get a... Check out the list. This is on the website confirming this. Wow. So does this now mean there's going to be a run? There's going to be a run on Glocks? Is that what I'm going to see? I've never been a Glock guy. I'm not opposed. I'm just it's never where I've been. To focus on the products that will drive future innovation and growth, we're making a strategic decision to reduce our current commercial portfolio. The streamlined approach allows us to concentrate on continuing to deliver the highest quality, most relevant solutions for the market. Wow. Okay. So this is, you've got California, which signed AB 1127. And what that does is that prohibits the sale of Glocks until they redesign their Gen 3. It's the only model available in California, to make it impossible to illegally convert the handgun into a machine gun. And so they're getting sued over the use of illegal switches. Suing the manufacturer is gross. The manufacturer isn't doing these things. They're not. So I will dig in more here. Is Isn't that the kind Kamala carries? I forget, but I love the reference. Yeah, did you? Yeah, because she's an expert on firearms. Don't you? Don't you know? An expert, I say. All right, coming back to the show. Liberals are not having babies. So we got that going for us. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Oh, that's so cold. That is cold-hearted. Birth rates are certainly down in the United States, but there's an interesting bit of data that shows that progressives are having far less children than conservatives. This is not surprising or shocking in any way. But I think people are taking this wrong. I saw this post and someone wrote, Wilfred wrote, declining fertility is an almost totally liberal problem. First, I don't believe that to be true. Declining fertility is a problem with society and an absolute fear of sex and a repudiation of it, which comes from being raised to hate men, to thinking all men are toxic, from men being afraid to engage with women, from women having an absolutely unrealistic expectation in younger ages of men not having fathers in many parts of society. There's a lot to this. But when I heard this, what I heard was take your kids out of school. Break the teachers union in two. Homeschool. Change the education system. That's what I heard. If you are sending your kid to public schools where they're being indoctrinated by leftist thought, they can't do it to their own kids, so they do it to your kids. Time to break the system. Take your kids out. Homeschool them. Private school them. Charter school them. Break the teachers union by starving them of dollars they get per pupil. And let's change the system. You have the kids, and they think they're in charge of your kid. They think that your kid belongs to them. The kids belong to all of us. Remember that line? That was the first place I went to when I saw this data. That when you stare at it, what it's saying is liberals don't have children, so they want your kids. I know seems like an extreme message, except take a look who's in education, take a look what we've been dealing with in education, and how am I wrong? I think I'm making a solid argument. And some places you might be happy with the school district. And for lots of other people, pull your kids now. I'm Tony Katz. Kids, darlings, I appreciate you. I do. I'm glad that you are here. Oh, I got asked what I'm wearing today. So this is the Quartz Chronograph from Flederman von Riest right there. Comes in a whole series of colors and styles. Go to vonriest.com, R-I-E-S-T-E. That is shop.vonriest.com, assembled in Indiana, shipped to you. Use promo code CATS. Get your discount. Incredible timepieces. You'll pass down through the generations, and they will last. Really, absolutely thrilled by the watches from Von Riest, assembled in Indiana. Two brothers, good people, creating something pretty great. I'm happy to be a part of it. Go to Von Riest, shop.vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS, K-A-T-Z, and get your discount. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm back tomorrow at noon. The show continues. The radio show continues at WIBC.com, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Take care.